Aloha, all you money makers out there. This is Indar Lang, and we're on episode 41 of our podcast. And we're super excited to have my great friends, Anam and Aamir. They're in beautiful, sunny Texas. A little hot right now, but super excited to have them here. And let's do it. Let's dive on in, guys. So let's go. If I told you guys that subscribe button is the only thing that's separating you from financial freedom, because knowledge is power. I'm going to give you all the knowledge so you can succeed in life. Tell me a little bit about yourself. How do we meet, and some of a little bit of your background? I know we met at the event, and we built a quick friendship there in Maui Mastermind. And yeah, tell me a little more.
Yeah, no, I mean that was probably like one of the best trips that we've actually done. Going out to Maui for a little over a week and getting to know a group of like whatever it was, 30 or 40 people, and actually getting to know them because we hung out for a full 7 days and really got dove into each other's businesses, dove deep into it. No, it's a great time, and that's how we met. But
it was a Maui Master.
It was
what event? There was a Maui Mastermind in it was at the Grand Wailea, but that was last year, right? It's been about a year, right? I think
it was last year. Yeah.
Last year, I think last September, right?
Yeah. Last September.
Yeah.
But a little bit about us. Me and my wife are from Dallas, Texas. We invest in single family homes. We buy value added single family homes and we keep them mainly as rentals. We recently just changed our model to flips with these interest rates going through the roof. But that's a little bit about us and what we do.
You guys have a ton of BRRRRs too. You guys buy a lot of. When I met you at the group, I was surprised. You're very young too, and you've got so many BRRRRs. And I love the BRRRR. It's the best strategy there is, I think, out there to keep the money rolling and working. But you guys have how many doors now? You have up to? You're up to like 50.
We have a 70.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was 50 last time, I think.
And yeah. So we came back from Maui and went straight to work. But yeah, no, we're at 70 and all of them have gone through the BRRRR cycle. So the BRRRR strategy, right? Which a lot of people don't realize that it's a lot of work. It's a lot of time. It's a waiting game. It's making sure things are right. But yeah, I mean, it basically, you just stick to it. And we stuck to one strategy, and it was the BRRRR strategy for 6 years. And like he said, just 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, we bought our first and second and third flip all at the same time because interest rates are kind of killing us with the BRRRR strategy.
Yeah.
And secretly, he's not going to admit this, but I spend way too much money sometimes on our renovations because I love the whole design process. Flips are my creative outlet.
Yeah. I love it until I don't love it anymore. You love it until you don't. I don't know. The designing takes a lot out of you sometimes. All the little knickknacks and stuff. There's a lot. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, if it was up to me and she wasn't doing that, and I would have streamlined every single thing. Every single house would look exactly the same, and we would have just boom, here's a tile, here's a flooring that you're going to use for every 70 houses. All right, I'm done here.
I do that kind of. I have to say, for years before this, I used to have the same flooring, same paint. There's same certain tiles from Home Depot, and it just made the machine quicker, of course. But that's amazing. So you guys got up to 70 doors in the BRRRR process. So I guess since we're going to talk a lot about BRRRRs, we should definitely, anyone out there not listening, what the BRRRR process is. And Brandon is just coined this term, but this has been around for years and years. It's not, the word is just a new word, but it's been around for years. So for anyone listening, the BRRRR process is to buy, renovate, rehab, rent out, and repeat. It's a great strategy from the olden days. Our parents or so forth, they would buy rental properties and just pay them off and have zero debt. That would take forever. That was a long said process to take you a while to pay off one property and then go do it again. So the new way of thinking is velocity money. The quicker you can utilize money in a property and to make sure cash flows, to go do more and to go do more and to go do more. So the velocity of money, the quicker we can take out enough of our capital that we injected into this machine property and to go do more. So we buy them at 75% below market value, right? I mean, that's where you're at. I normally want to buy
55 to 60.
We're trying to buy like 50, 65, somewhere in that range, just so we
all
can
in,
make that extra little bit of cushion on it.
all in.
No,
No purchase.
That's our purchase.
Yeah.
Purchase price all in gets closer to 70, 75. So
Yeah.
we try to
So I use 70.
so that we're getting
I use 70 all in, rehab costs, everything at 70, because when I refinance at the banks, maybe the bank doesn't hit our appraisal number, or you went over your rehab budget, or I don't have no money in it, so I kind of try to use 70. But it never perfectly works out, of course. But you've had refinances where you don't get it all back. I've had a few, right? And it's fine. Like, oh, I got 5 or 10 grand into this property. Yeah. Oh well, it's not too bad.
Yeah, exactly. Because the returns are still great, even when you leave money in the deal. But it's just like, if we can get back every single dollar, obviously you can do a lot more deals.
They're not always home runs, but I'm sure you had some home runs where you've taken out some extra money out of the deal, that's the best part of BRRRR. Yeah. Have you had some big takeouts, I guess you'd say, loans?
Yeah, we've had a couple of those where we got to keep the property and take out money on that, but those come around very, very rarely. I would assume like only a handful of deals that we got that done on.
Yeah. I had one, we took out 100 grand extra. I was like, 100 grand tax free. So the coolest thing, anyone listening, it's tax free. Like it's a loan, so you don't pay any interest on it. You don't pay any money on it, which is amazing. You just gotta pay your loan back. That's about it. I mean, you pay your interest, but yeah. So what part of Texas do you guys invest or do? You just do a certain part. Dallas, is it?
Yeah, so if you, or I don't know if this is an audio only or video only.
There's audio and video.
But you can see, we buy in the DFW Metroplex. And so when we got started, a lot of our purchases were more on the Fort Worth side because they were more affordable. And then just in the last few years, we shifted a little bit to the Dallas side. Because we live in Dallas, so it's a little closer, and we realized the hour drives were killing us because it's hour there, hour back, and then several times a week. I mean, we were losing a lot of time. And so we started realizing that we're okay spending a little bit more money to be closer to home, but the numbers still worked. It's just our entry price points are, instead of in the low hundreds, you're in the low 200s now, but it still works. But yeah, Dallas, Fort Worth, and then I'm born and raised here, so feel like we would always invest here.
Yeah, it's your backyard. It's a lot easier, right? And you guys have been doing this 6 years, right? What did you do before all this? What did you start off doing? I mean, you're doing 1 or 2 at the first, and you're working normal jobs too, right?
Yeah.
So I was still involved with my family business, like ever since like middle school. I've been working with them. But
what business?
Like so they were in the dry cleaning business, and so they have 2 locations, and I grew up working in there since I was young. And then we got to a point, and then you were working in she was working in the auto dealership business, and she was a marketing director at one of the large luxury automotive dealership. And we were both like, as we grew up together too, because we were together since we were 13 years old. So we were
wow, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
We met when we were 13.
Yeah.
She was in middle school, I was in high school. So we always were like, we grew up in an entrepreneurial family, because her family also had sandwich shops that she would go to, like, to work at during the summers and at nights or something after school. But we've always were thinking about, like, what can we do for ourselves? Like, as we grew up, we grew up with like long hours and working on weekends and during the summer and all of that. And we were like, let's do something for ourselves. What can we do that we built on our own? And we came across all these other things. Everybody comes across like trading stocks or all the regular stuff first. We went through all that. We went through even like talking about opening a bar or a restaurant or all these other ventures, but nothing panned out. Real estate is something that we came across that we like and especially the BRRRR model, because we were like, all the work is going to be done on the front end. Once the properties are ready and they're rented, well then like the work is lessened and we can kind of step away from that. And our essential goal was only to get to 10 properties. We were like, we'll be rich on 10 properties, and then once those are rented, then we can completely walk away and we won't have to do anything else ever again.
Yeah.
Those goals changed pretty quickly.
Well, explain to people that to think 10 properties is enough. It's not enough, especially if you have something happen or the carrying of just, a lot of people have that 10 property goal. And I think it's, you couldn't live off of 10 properties even alone, just in the long
No.
term. Yeah. If something happens or,
Oh, absolutely
you know,
not.
yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely not. Yeah,
Yeah.
you get one maintenance call and something large on that maintenance call, and basically your cash flow for the whole month is pretty much gone.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
no, you
Yeah.
can't move on.
Yeah. So I think people are misconstrued sometimes when they think, oh yeah, I'll just get 10 and I'll retire and quit my job. Like, I think you can have 10, of course, and keep your job. Yes. But
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good model. Yeah.
yeah.
If you kept working and you had 10 properties, at least at retirement you'd be taken care of if you got those 10 properties paid off.
Yeah. 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 So you guys started 6 years ago. You're just doing 1 and 2 on the side and so forth. How did you first started finding deals to how you're kind of finding out now? I mean, obviously you're just probably working with the agents at the beginning, right? Or how did you guys
No.
grow?
Yeah. So like,
Oh.
obviously he consumed a lot of content in the beginning through podcasts. A lot of bigger pockets was probably listened to. And I think he learned about what wholesalers were. And then
Oh.
on some of the forums, he would find people post that they're wholesalers in Dallas. I think we tried considering the agent model and we
Oh,
realized
really? So all
our
wholesalers.
offer
Oh,
was
huh.
not competitive. Yeah, all
Yeah.
wholesalers and all, our first, I mean, we started right off the bat sight unseen too, even though we are local purchasers, like we're an hour away, right? But our first purchase was sight unseen as well.
Mhm.
Just trusting photos that were sent to us.
And off of a forum on bigger
Yeah.
pockets. So
Yeah.
that's exactly how we got started. We never actually went through the traditional route of
Oh, wow.
finding a realtor and finding something on market.
Well,
Yeah.
there is a ton of wholesalers in that market, right? There is a huge
Yeah.
amount of
Yeah.
wholesalers.
There's a lot.
There's hundreds of wholesalers. Like our inbox of emails is probably hitting probably somewhere around 150 houses every single day. So
Wow. Oh, so you don't
it's
have
quite a bit of wholesalers, quite a bit of deal flow.
yeah. And now you're just weeding out what deals work for the BRRRR model. Generally, the cash flow is pretty much works in your market, most of your stuff, the 1% rule, right? I mean, or better. Yeah.
Up until 2 years ago.
Yeah. Up until all these rates started killing everything off. But no, yeah. I mean, a lot of the stuff still makes sense over here. Just like you have to weed out obviously price points, you have to keep it to sub like $500,000 or $400,000 neighborhoods to kind of make sense on the rental side. But there's a lot of things that we've done over the years to now where we can just weed out everything like instantly. Now it's just like a 5-minute. Oh, does this work? No. All right, move on to the next.
Mm-hmm. The square footage, your rental prices and so forth.
Yeah.
So what kind of rules
because
do
our
you follow?
portfolio.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead. Your portfolio. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, our portfolio ends up being our own comps usually because we try to stay in semi-similar areas. So then we have like the proof of concept because we've either already had an appraisal done or we have it already leased. So I think that now helps us because we have pretty strong, like we have accurate numbers versus just kind of going based off hypothetical, like hopefully it appraises for this and hopefully the rents are this. So that's helped a lot finesse our strategy in the last few years.
Yeah, that's awesome. You can analyze a deal in your head at this point. I mean, you don't even need, your stuff, which is great. I'm the same way. I love that when, I mean, you can literally take a phone call and analyze if deals are good or not in, your head. What do they call it? A napkin. You can run a deal on a napkin.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So now that interest rates are higher and we're having these, you still got to try and hit that 1%, 1.25% rule. How you're dealing with the interest rates. Because where I'm getting at is I am okay until breaking even or making money on stuff because I know I can do a rate and term. Maybe when the loans get cheaper, I kind of play it differently because I know you can refinance or do a rate and term loan in a couple of years from now. What's your thoughts on that? What they're making it work with interest rates?
So we did get into doing flips now just because interest rates are up and a lot of the deals don't make sense on the rental model. But we're still actively looking for rentals. Like if a scenario comes like down where we leave almost no money in the deal and we're close to break even or above break even, we still take that on as a rental, of course, because if the numbers still make sense, they still make sense.
And then for rental wise,
our thought process is, yeah, our thought process was exactly the same. Like we'll take it on now, and even if we're above break even on the rental side, then we can go later down the road. We can always refinance that loan to a lower rate loan.
But to piggyback off that, like there are deals that like recently that we've been okay being in that we know could possibly be a net cash flow if you actually count like all those expenses that like if you hold for maintenance, hold for capex, hold for vacancy, you hold for all that. Yeah, there are some that end up being negative cash flow. But again, we're okay with it because those deals also have built in probably anywhere between 100 to 150,000 in equity. So the difference in our market that we've been seeing recently is because DFW or Texas in general has become a like a hotspot, right? And our home prices have like rapidly increased. But what's not rapidly increasing alongside home prices is rent prices. Rent prices can't go from 2,000 to 3,000 overnight. It's going to take a long time for Dallas to be able to catch up and start charging some of those higher rent prices. And so that's where we're in this awkward situation where our home values are awesome because we're getting great values, which gives us equity and builds your net worth, but your rents are not moving as fast as values are. So if it's a deal like that where it's an area we want to be in and we know it's an equity play, and we essentially might end up losing money, it's fine because you get the tax benefits, you get the depreciation. I mean, there's all these other benefits that people
of course.
don't ever factor in, and you can only do it when you are at a large enough portfolio. If it was our first few deals, it would be silly for us to probably do it because
I 100% agree. Yes.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're feeling and doing on there. Yeah. And you guys are I think it's the #1 city that people are moving across the United States. I think it's Dallas or Austin. I forget which one it is, but I heard so much that it's the #1 place to see and move to. But I feel you exactly what you're saying, because I have some that we're trying even midterm rentals just to get them to break even or make money for the year. And my third play is there's still flips. I mean, there's still, in a year or two, you can still sell them. For here in Hawaii, we have such big appreciation that, I could sell it as a flip, always. So I like that strategy. Just buy it, and as long as you have no money in it and you can break even or make something for the year, you can always figure it out kind of later. The rest of what you do offsets it a lot of time. There's that saying, you look smart owning real estate in 30 years. So whatever you buy, you just look smart. If even if it was the worst deal ever. So that's the coolest thing about real estate. I think it's just getting control of it sometimes, and then kind of figuring it out later. Sometimes. But so
exactly.
So tell me more about how you analyze your deals. Then how I love analyzing deals and I love looking at it. So do you have a deal analyzer? You have some kind of Excel sheet and just to run your numbers?
We used to. I mean, right now, like it's just like we know our area so well, but we still do run comps. So in certain areas, we'll run comps, and obviously, if we can find deals that are 50, 60, 65% of ARV, that's generally what we're looking for. And then we'll run it through a scenario. Does it make sense? Like now, since we do flips, we're like, does it make sense to take this on as a flip, or does it make sense to take it on as a rental? So we'll run it through both scenarios, but the only thing we're doing is we're just running comps and checking if there's enough spread on it, just so that we can either take on the property
on that note between flips and rentals, I struggle with it myself sometimes. Is I used to early on, actually, I'm guilty of wanting money now, and I just would flip because I wanted money now, and then I didn't realize until maybe 2-3 years ago that damn, I should be keeping more rentals, make sure they cash flow. And there is that fine line for me. I don't know how do you go back and forth? Is yes, I should be keeping some of these, but it's nice to keep cash flow and making a nice flip and making 50 grand whatever on it. There's that kind of fine line between it all. How do you play on that? How do you figure out which you want to
We
do?
So we
Yeah.
haven't gotten to that probably yet. We haven't gotten to, because we literally just started like 3 weeks ago with the
All the
actually
flips.
deciding to do
Oh,
flips. Yeah, so like we did it opposite probably from what most people do. We went, yeah,
you're
we
way
went straight
smarter.
to obviously the BRRRR, the
Yeah.
buy and hold, because we're like, we have to own all our assets and we will never sell. And then,
That
you
was our
know,
model.
that was our
Never
model.
sell anything.
Never sell anything. And then a month ago, we had a realization when we were running an analysis on a deal that we were like, this is like a really good deal. Like, I do not want to pass it up. And we were like, so do you want to try a flip? And we've always been on the fence, you know, because for several reasons. What if it doesn't sell? What if, just several reasons why we don't know it, right? What we don't know, which is probably why we're like, let's just stay in our lane, and our lane is the BRRRR strategy.
Well,
But this deal
burring
is
is a
just too
flip.
good.
Burring is a flip.
It essentially is a flip.
It's a
It
flip.
is. It's just a
It's
flip
just
to ourselves.
you're the end buyer. Yeah, you're just selling it to refinancing to yourself. So
Yeah.
you are flipping
Yeah.
properties.
True. It's how we explain to people when people don't understand what we do. And we're like, we just flip homes to rentals.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, I don't know. That's a good question on how I think the way we would differentiate it is essentially it'll be the rental differentiator. If we can make money with it being a rental, then we'll keep it.
Mhm.
But if it's still a good deal and has the spreads, then we'll pick it up as a flip. That's what we think in our head, because that's what made us make that first decision to flip
Yeah.
versus hold.
It's also
I
two
think
different price points too,
Yeah.
because the flip side, where our price points are a little bit higher. Our
Mhm.
purchase prices are typically between 3 to 500,000, whereas our rental purchases are between like 150 to like
Cheaper.
200,000. So
Yeah.
it's two
Oh,
different
I
price points. Yeah.
100% agree. Yep. 100%. Yeah. Yeah. The cheaper stuff is always better for rentals, the lower
Yeah.
expenses. Yeah. Because you're generally going to
Yeah.
get the same amount of rents compared to a 200,000 for us, a 200,000 or $400,000 property. The rents don't spread enough for it.
Yeah.
And I love
Very
the
And
lower.
vice versa, if you're I was saying vice versa, if you're buying 150 or $200,000 properties to flip, there's typically not that much gross margin in it for you to
Yeah.
get a rehab done and still
Yeah.
make a decent amount of
Yeah.
money to where it makes sense.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you got the teams together on your side for the contractor to do the work, and that's another hard part of the side of it all, and project manager and running it all, to now do both sides. And I think it's amazing if you guys can do both sides of the business, because it's nice to get
think
checks in them.
That's
Yeah.
that's how we came across the flips, because like we were actually just looking at one of the deals and we saw like at least a couple $100,000 in gross profit on one of the deals, and we're like, man, we could literally do this in like 3 to 4 weeks. And that something just clicked that day, and we're like, why are we like turning away all these flips when we could probably just start getting like bringing in some cash rather than rentals bring in cash. You don't really bring in that much cash. A flip will bring you like exponential amount more than rentals will, even if you have a larger portfolio. So we're like, man, this is only like 3 or 4 weeks with our teams to do this. So why don't we actually add doing flips alongside doing rentals?
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. And then if you flip more, you can offset it with a cost seg. You have depreciation, you have things like that to offset your capital gains from flipping. So you already have that side of it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. You should do so. Well, you don't have to do cost seg, because I mean, you don't need to use your full on cost seg. You probably have so much cost seg you can carry it over.
Yeah, exactly. Just because until we start scaling it, like obviously until we start doing more flips, then at some point we'll need to do the cost seg so that we can start writing down more of it. But at least for now, while we're getting up and going,
I buy some big stuff just for the cost seg studies, because I make a lot flipping, so I need that cost seg depreciation.
Yeah.
We actually been giving our cost seg study away to our investors. They become partners. We bring our investors on as a 1% ownership of our property, and then they can share off some of the cost segs, because we get some big cost segs. You think about that, even for some of your family and friends, even you can do investors.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, because
Yeah.
then you could probably use that against their W-2, right?
Yeah, they can use 25,000 against their W-2s if they're not if they don't do professional real estate full time, 750 hours. So they can use 25,000, and then it carries over until it runs out. So say you gave them 100,000 in depreciation, they can carry it over. Or if they do real estate full time, like yeah, for 4 years. But if they do real estate for even escrow agents or real estate agents, they're great because they can take that cost seg and use it right away.
Yeah.
But that was hard for
Real
me to
estate professionals.
yeah, real estate professionals. That was hard to me to explain or to pitch to people sometimes. So I don't always talk about it because people don't understand the cost seg in the first place. So I think it's only real estate people understand it. It's like our little secret thing.
Understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why everyone
You
doesn't.
just got to tell them it's paper losses and it's going to reduce your taxes. That's all you got to tell them. And then they'll be like all ears about that.
I don't know. I explain all the time. And it's still like over a lot of people's head. Even I've talking to like an agent one time, and she's like a prime candidate she was making a lot of money. I was like, you should like, and she had rental properties. I'm like, you should be doing a cost seg. And she's like, no, I just pay my taxes. I'm like, okay. She's paying 100 grand in taxes. I'm like, okay.
Oh my God.
yeah. I'll say, geez. I mean, she does well, but yeah, this is why we do a lot of this stuff. So you do a beautiful job decorating and designing it all. So how do you like that side of it all?
So I love that side. It's it probably has a little bit more to do with like my background, which was in marketing, which is is creative. Like I didn't go into finance for a reason, right? So like I like seeing things come to life, and I feel like I can I feel like I have a really good vision, so I can see like a crap hole, and like I can already see what it's going to look great, and it doesn't scare me, and I know we're going to be able to turn it. And so I think by being able to have that natural instinct is what I feel like it's a natural instinct, because not everyone can look at something and be like, this is going to turn into this, right? I think that helps. But what I will say is I do try to like try to have like a really good pulse on the market. Like I'm constantly looking at homes like all day long to make sure
trends,
designs, trends, to make sure we're not either overdoing trends or underdoing trends. Like I want to be right in the middle. Even with our rentals, I want to be the prettiest rental. But I don't want to be like, I don't also want to be not smart. Like in certain price points, yeah, we might put quartz countertops, but in certain price points, we for sure do laminate countertops.
Yeah.
So like, it's just by area.
Have you done Airbnbs? You done Airbnbs too? So you design them?
We've not done Airbnbs. I feel like it'd be really fun to
yeah, because it's actually really fun. I just brought it up because I actually enjoy doing the Airbnb part of it as well, designing the Airbnb, because then you get all the knickknacks and the little things. It's kind of fun as a designer. So I was bringing it up.
I wish. No, I wish. No, what we do is, what we did start doing like a few years ago was we kind of started doing a few higher end rentals a year. So like that higher end market. So those were the ones that we were buying that were over 400,000, or like 300 to 400, but we're appraising for 600 to 700 or 800. And we were getting like solid rents, because that's going to be like your corporate person or someone, but they're 12-month leases. They're not like short midterm leases, but it's probably someone just maybe relocating in Dallas that doesn't know where they want to live. Right. So they want a nicer home and they're willing to pay nicer pricing. So being in that market really is what I think lit fire under me to be like, I want to do a flip, because you renovate those properties as if you're going to put them on the market because of the buyer or renter you're attracting.
Yeah. So you kind of, you got to design it a little differently. Have you thought about midterm rentals and doing some of the travel nurses and construction worker? Have you thought about that?
So we have a hybrid strategy going on. So we have 4 you can consider a midterm. we don't manage them because we self-manage all of our entire portfolio and we project manage our renovations. That trying to have like the thought process of trying to furnish a midterm, build furniture, do all that is just too daunting. But we have an 8-unit and it's our only multifamily, and half of it is being leased as midterm and half of it's being leased to long-term tenants. But someone's managing that for a 20% management fee. They're managing it. So they're they furnished it. I didn't furnish it. So in that 20% management fee included furnishing the unit.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that it was a sweet deal, and honestly, that side of the building is now at least the last month, 2 months probably has been netting more than our long-term renters. But again, and that's including his, so it's net that takes all the expenses out
His
of
fees,
the equation.
his costs,
Yeah.
Because I mean,
So great strategy.
Midterm rentals are great. I mean, you just all you're doing is furnishing an apartment, and
Yeah. And then, but I was like building furniture, man. I saw people's posts and videos about like what they like just spending days on. I'm like, I
IKEA.
cannot.
IKEA.
I was like, I cannot do that. Like, I just,
Well, it wasn't just building the furniture. It was also like you have shorter turnovers, right? So like the people are in there for like whatever 60 days, 90 days, whatever the case is, and then you got to find somebody else to come in. And we're like, that's not something that we want. We did want to implement the strategy, but we just didn't want to manage it. So that's kind of like a hybrid model on that.
Yeah, I mean, you can make more. That's why you can ultimately rent for more. It's just the management of it all is the hard part. And then obviously Airbnbs is a lot more management. You can make the most technically, I guess.
But that
just different ways to make more money.
Different ways. I feel like that active income for Airbnb for us, I feel like that we would rather probably do a flip as active income versus the Airbnb. Just because
just turning people out every like day or 2 days or something, having to manage the calls, or I don't know.
You would figure out a system in a second. It's not that hard to figure out. I have 9 Airbnbs. I don't answer no calls. You get a VA you would figure it out. It's easy. You use a platform, you automate it all on the platforms, and then you get a VA to follow up, and you get a handyman to help out, and you get your cleaners. It's not that hard. You would not. I think you could do it. I think you do it quickly. No, it's real. So we have a channel manager that makes it all automated. Hey, how's your stay going? How was your first night? Here's the keys. Please leave us a review. Every day we're like just constantly sending messages. They have all the check-in instructions and all that. Then dynamically price changing and all that's really important, of course. And then they check in, ask questions. I have a VA that answers it. It's not too hard. And then your cleaner does the cleaning, of course, and a handyman for fix it. And then my handyman guy builds the furniture and sets it all up. I don't do that kind of stuff. So that's your worry about.
That's
he said, here's the stuff, come pick it up. I deliver it to my house, and come pick it up and deliver it and build it. I think you guys would be fine if you did want to do Airbnbs. I think you guys would kill it. You've developed some good systems for sure.
I think it just looks more daunting right now, just because we handle long-term tenants and we're like, oh, this is so much better. But,
long terms are easy. Long terms are easy. Just
so
put them in and forget about them.
Sign the lease. Exactly. So I'm sure we can figure it out once we get into it. Something that we're looking into.
Talk about long-term tenants. Any lease hacks you can think about? Tricks or things you like to have on your leases, or any do's or don'ts, or things to include?
I think implementing
do you oppose rent raises and stuff?
No, we definitely don't oppose rent raises. I mean,
try to have rent bumps included in the leases, or because the goal of any renter
not in the leases.
The goal of any renter is to get them long term, 2 to 3 years, and 2 to have some kind of rent bumps in there. So that's a goal of rental, of course. So how do you,
Yeah, so
have you thought?
we typically just do 12-month leases, even though some people might ask for longer term. We'll go ahead and just do the 12-month. It also not only does you get to price check again in the 12 months later, because like if you sign up, let's just say you sign somebody up for $2,000 a month, and then that area takes off in that year, and all of a sudden rents are 2,500. Well, you don't want to undershoot yourself, so we don't do anything longer than 12 months, because then we can reassess the market in 12 months, see where it's at, and then price them accordingly when they try to renew. It also gives us time to like see if the tenant fits. Like as if there's too much, if there's too many issues that are not related to like property, like just like regular property maintenance or submitting property maintenance stuff. If there's just like if there's drug problems, or if there's crime because of them that they're bringing in, and it's just not a good fit. Oh, 12 months is like that trial period where we just terminate it at that point. So that's one reason we don't do the longer term right off the bat.
Well, that, and then we also sorry, go ahead. What was the question? I was gonna say, the other thing that we do, so it doesn't also because you bring up a point. A lot of people ask, like, can we do a 2-year? And we'll say no, but we always tell them you will be notified 60 days before your lease expires, and you have the first right. We've never also gone into a renewal and increased it like on a $2,000 a month. We would never go and be like, okay, we're gonna do 10% and it's 2,200. That's not. That would be, in our opinion, feeling like price gouging. They are going to probably leave because $200 extra a month might feel, not doable for a family, right? But yeah, 2,000 becomes 2,050, and then that's something that most people will say yes, and you naturally get your increase built in, and they'll stay if they like the property. And to his point, in 12 months, you figure out if they like the property or if you like them very quickly early on in that 12-month relationship. And so usually the issue at renewal is if they don't like it, no matter what we do, even if we keep it flat, they're not going to stay. And so the ones that like it will be okay with paying whatever that small percentage is. And sometimes, like in COVID year, or even the year after, we didn't raise rents. Even though our expenses, taxes went up, insurance went up, everything, a lot of non-payers, so our expenses went up, right? Yeah. We didn't increase rent because we knew it just wasn't right. Of course. It wasn't the right time. So we're also I feel like we have a little emotion into probably what we do because we self-manage.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, there's certain tenants that, there's one of my tenants, I haven't raised her rent in 2 years. She's a mom and single mother, and I probably can bump her up $50-$100 maybe. But you kind of feel for certain people, you just get this little soft spot. If she was one of my first renters, you always have certain renters that people, and then you're running the risk. Hey, maybe I do bump it up, and they say no, and now I might go a vacant month, without possibly a vacant month without having somebody in there. And so you kind of weigh that on. Is it worth the $50-$100, $100 rent bump? There's always that little
vacant month plus turnover cost.
Plus,
you're going to touch up paint, you're going to clean it, there's going to be a couple things that you're going to have to do. So a couple $1,000 is just lost right there.
Yeah. I'm guilty as I think you guys are, is that I always feel like I have to make it nice again, even though you probably don't, but repainting the whole thing and doing things that probably don't have to, but just feel like you want to have a good product for people. It's I think that part of the business we're kind of talking right now, people don't realize it is a struggle right there to figure out, do I do rent increases, when and how, and that little part in there is definitely hard, especially if you haven't done one, and there's it's a hard part of a landlord, I think.
For sure.
For
sure. You want to keep it into a balance to where you're not losing tenants there, because you want to have them in there for a certain amount of time, because that turnover cost does eat into your margins. So trying to get somebody to stay for at least 3 to 4 years would be the ideal case. But
well, let's get into the last segment. So last segment is we have a question from somebody, and this is from KT is his name. How do you navigate a business relationship and marriage? You guys are
Okay, well,
perfect
hey,
question
we'll
for
take
you
that.
guys.
Oh, that's a
Definitely a good
great
question.
question. There's two things that I think we'll say, and I mean, you can probably I don't know, maybe we'll have two different answers. Who knows? But the stay in your lane is real. If you do not stay in your lane, that's usually when you start noticing it affect into your marriage, like your business bleeds into your marriage.
Mhm.
So you have to do a really good job at defining roles. If you want to be in business together, be like, you are responsible for this and you are responsible for that. Yes, we can collaborate because collaboration is good for any business. But no, we don't tell one another what to do when we're not the expert in that field. Like, I won't go to Amr and be like, you're silly for using this bank because blah, blah, blah. Like, I have nothing to do with finance. And he's not going to be like, why'd you pick this color on the wall? He has nothing to do with design. So staying in your own lane is very important. And then, like, having so not only do we work together and are in marriage together, our office is in our home too. So
Mhm.
we really don't like get to leave. Like, there's no, you leave it behind in the office and then you move on, you go home, right? So that's a big one, is to like know when your work day ends. Like, is it, for us it's probably between the 6 and 7 hour, because between 6 and 7 is when we're both getting home from whatever we're doing. And that's when, whenever it's time for dinner, we try our best to not talk about work. Or if we had disagreements during the day, we do not let it come in after the 7 o'clock mark. And we don't have children yet, so we're trying to be really good about it, to practice for the day we do have a child in the mix, because the last thing you
Yeah.
want is it to affect them and them notice that something's not right. So I think if you stick to those two things, you can make any marriage and business relationship work.
Yeah, you
Define.
definitely, like, I think that's the one of the biggest ones, is you have to have that flip, like, you got to flip that switch real quick. Like, after work hours, you have to go real quickly into just like this, like, we're actually in a relationship first and then work comes second. So you have to turn off whatever happened in the day, whether disagreements or, rough day, whatever happened, just turn it off and then flip to relationship mode. And then
Mhm.
that's all, like, like, even though we will bring,
Yeah.
like, sometimes we will be sitting there at dinner or even on a date night and just talking about work, but like, yeah, that will naturally come up. But you have to kind of try your best to try to separate those two out.
That switch, you got to flip that switch. Yeah, that's a huge one.
Yeah.
I like that. That's the
Yeah.
huge part, is know how to just flip the switch and let it go. Okay, that was daytime work, and now we have our relationship and each other, and it's more important than anything. And definitely
Yeah.
definitely struggles on some days when the business is stressful and whatever's going on.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, but it's nice you get to share it with each other too, which is I'm jealous of a little bit. I do this. My wife's not really a part of the business, a little bit, but I don't get to share just some of the things I'm stressed about and struggling with, and like, let's figure out this together. I think that's huge. To bounce an idea off each other's head. Even if I already know the answer, but just to say it out loud is
Just talk it out.
yeah. And it's somebody
Yeah.
you trust 100%. So, that's the other cool thing, is like, obviously you trust that person with your life. I'm going to trust my business with them as well. So that's the other huge thing. You can share your secret struggles, your challenges that you wouldn't share with even a CFO or a coworker or CEO or whatever,
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
because there's some struggles that I know we all go through in this business, and there's some really hard challenges that are behind the scenes. Everyone sees this business on social media, and it's glitz and glamour, and it's easy, and but there's a lot of struggles. We're dealing with money and large amounts and bank accounts and timelines and closing and funding on this day, and it's
Millions of moving parts at the same time.
yeah,
all over the place. So
yeah,
it
see,
hard,
yeah.
But yeah, people don't see that.
People don't see that. Yeah, there's like a billion moving parts, and you are an expert at being a mortgage lender one day, and next day you're talking to your contractor and you're an expert at that, and balancing your bookkeeping and property management. You're like this many hats, expert at juggling
Yeah.
around.
Yeah,
It's
it does. You do bring up a valid point. It does help having your partner at least invested into your business,
Mhm.
even if they don't want to be in the business with you. Trying to get them invested in it, because those hard days when you do have to bring it home, it is hard when they don't get it, because we've seen this with other people. They don't understand or sympathize or can't understand, so then they expect the person to turn their switch immediately, and it's not that easy, especially with this, like you said, the stuff that go like every like 10 seconds there's something else going through your head, and if deadlines are deadlines, and if money's due, and you can't have someone turn that off. So it is nice having a partner that understands that.
yeah, yeah. I bring it home to my wife a lot, and most of the time she's, very caring and thoughtful. But there's sometimes she's like not on my team, and that's when it's hard. I'm like, I just wanted you to listen. I didn't want you to yell at me and say, why didn't you do this, to do that? And I'm like, I just wanted you to listen to me, I guess, because there's like no one to talk to. It's we're close. I mean, I think that's actually how we all got close, is because we're all very like-minded, and when we're in Maui together, we all know the same struggles. We all know the same problems, as well as we have the same growth and the same mindset to do more. And I think that's why we all get so close so fast, is because we're all on that same page, wavelength, I guess you can say, in life. And
Yeah.
I think it's like a small society of people, even though it feels like it's so broad. You know what I mean? Like there's only a few people, I think,
Yeah.
probably 100 people that you can really share and, talk to. I think we were sitting.
Yeah. That understand. Yeah.
That have the same journey, or going through the
Yeah.
same thing. No, for sure. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. I think we were sitting at that restaurant or whatever, like in that big open area, and we were sharing, like, I think some struggles and stuff. And I think those are the moments right there, on like, exactly what that person is going through. And
Late at night on one of the days. I remember exactly what you're talking about. No, that was like probably like kind of like that was probably like one of the best nights to just have a conversation just around the table, and just everybody was just kind of just saying their own thing, but we were in an open environment, like everybody understood each other and had feedback.
Yeah.
Even outside of like a classroom situation, it was just a great night.
Yeah. It's something about being it's not just like-minded people. I mean, we're all like-minded, but people who achieved something and succeeded and built this machine. Now we all have that, we have that equality, I guess, about each other, and we can share, okay, this is what I'm really struggling with.
Yeah.
Deal highlight of the week. And we were talking earlier about funding and raising capital, and you guys are just starting off and creating your own huge fund, a $10 million fund, right? You want to talk about that at all? Or?
Yeah, so that is in the works. It's going to be a $10 million fund. It's going to be focused solely on single family homes in the Dallas-Fort Worth market. It's going to be value add homes that is going to be held as rentals after we finish with value add rehab on there. But yeah, that's in the works. I don't know if we're allowed to actually talk about it right now or not. But that is in the works.
Talk story.
And anybody wants any information on what's about to come up here in the next 30 to 60 days, and how they can invest with us to get into the real estate market in DFW, and how they can partner with us on deals, they can visit 21co.com and just take in a couple inputs of the information from you, and we'll reach out as soon as we're off and going.
So again, how can anyone follow you, or like, what's your social media and stuff handles?
So follow us also on social media at Rehab Rental. We're pretty active on there. And if you have any questions, again, about even just what he just talked about, or in general about our market, message us, and we do our best to respond back as soon as we can.
Yeah, Instagram's always great, guys. And go on Instagram and just comment and message. I mean, we are all brand new at one point, and I still have a million questions all the time myself. I'm getting bigger into commercial now, and in commercial, they always using these weird acronyms. I think they make them up half the time. And I like, what did you mean by CTFW? Or I don't know what the hell it's. And they like made it up on their own. I'm like, how do you think I'm supposed to? But in the commercial world, they make up more acronyms. It's almost like its own language sometimes. But my point is to message everybody on, message and comment and ask questions privately in the DMs if you're unsure. I think we all like helping people. We all think there's enough to go around. So just ask questions, guys. Indar Hawaii is mine. Subscribe and like and comment and ask questions. It's the biggest thing. I am a person of always asking questions. Whoever I sit with, I'm always asking questions about their business, about their life, just because I love learning from each other. But thank you guys so much for sitting with us today and just talking story. And I know we talked a lot before this, so thank you for just taking the time. And it's great catching up and hanging out. And it's great just talking story. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us on. It was good to finally see you after a few months. But
yeah,
we'll be in touch soon.
Yeah, thank you guys. Aloha. Thank you.